Welcome traders to the weekly market review. I'm your host Paul. In this video I'm going to use wave analysis to look at the charts, see what patterns are in play and what price levels are important. I'm going to look at the S&P, the Nasdaq, some select stocks, and Bitcoin. So let's get started. As usual, we'll start with the upcoming economic calendar. And like I said last week, crucial week again this week. And we'll see if it spills into next week. So everything starts on Tuesday. As far as the data points are concerned, the only one is the services PMI. And that's expected to be a slight decrease from last month, 54.9 down to 53, but still in the 50s, so services still remaining strong. But obviously the big one is down here. So I doubt that we'll even know the results on Tuesday. It'll probably spill into Wednesday. So that's going to cause, I think, just a little angst in the market. And that's what we're seeing, I think, in the price action. A lot of choppiness going on. So that's obviously going to be a big one. Wednesday, nothing really big. Thursday, you do have the jobless claims early in the morning, but it's going to be the Fed interest rate decision. So that's coming in the afternoon. Quarter point is expected, rate cut. And given all the data that has come out in the last month, I would be shocked if they don't do a quarter point. I think they're at a very restrictive level and they don't need to be where they are. So I think a quarter this month and a quarter next month are in store, and I would be shocked if anything else happens. And then Friday, consumer sentiment. And that's supposed to be pretty much in line with last month. So, yeah, as far as the data, I mean, obviously it's election and then the interest rate decision. You know, is Powell going to throw a curveball? Then that's going to really, I think, wreak havoc in the market if something unexpected happens there. All right, so volatile week, so be prepared. And let's go on to the charts. Starting with the S&P, this is the futures contract for the S&P. And the pattern, it's really starting to look like this is in the makings of a leading diagonal. So came down in three ways for one, went up in three, and then came down in three. And they've come into this zone where the four should happen. Now, there is a little three-wave move here. 1, 2, 3 waves. I just can't imagine that the four is going to be that quick, given how big or time-consuming the first wave was and how big the second wave was. How big the third, like that was just a very quick. So I'm almost wondering if this move up isn't just the A wave. We got three waves down for a B, maybe one more up, and then come down for the fifth wave. But either way, no matter what happens, if they break 57.32, you got five waves, and then you'll get a correction, but then you're going to be getting more down, and then there's a real chance that they could be coming down into this 55 to basically mid 54s to mid 55 range. Could be a much bigger correction. So I want to see what happened. I mean, so far it is only three waves down, so that could be all the correction. And now we're actually going to be going up to break the all-time high. But given that late day sell-off on Friday, it's given the feeling like they might be making a leading diagonal, which just means that this is going to be like the A wave, and then you're going to get a B wave, and then still one more down, and it'll be just how far does that C wave go down before they head back up. So yeah, just watching this area here. Does 57.32 get broken once more? Because it'll look I get, I, excuse me. Yeah, one, two. You know, the other pattern, I didn't even see this before. It could be that this is 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is 4, because then that would make sense that if it's 3 ways up, yeah, that could be. I didn't even think about that. All right, so the two patterns now that I'm looking for. This could be A, B, and now they're going to come down in a 5 wave. 1, 2, 3, and they hit the target for 4, and that's why this is selling off. And so this will come down. So I think that's going to be the pattern. If they come straight down, if they don't go back up, they just maybe, you know, go up here, but they don't come all the way back up into this purple zone and then sell off, I think then this is A, B, and this will be C, and then real good chance that we start to come back up to break the high. If this does turn into a bigger wave, then I think this is 1, 2, this was 3, and then this 3 wave could be 4, and then they would have to come and then break 57.32. So just depends on how they break. Well, I'm assuming that they're going to break 57.32. But yeah, I think if they just come from up here, so they don't go back up above that, and it's just something from in this range, and then they break, then I think this will be a 5 wave for the C wave. So yeah, let's watch that. If this turns into a bigger correction, then I think this is all a leading diagonal, which means you get a correction up, but then it's still going to be coming down. So yeah, that I think that makes more sense now, because especially what I see on the Nasdaq when we look at it next, the Nasdaq I'm almost positive has to make one more low, but then that should be all the correction. So that would make sense that if this just comes straight down, and this is all the C wave from this Friday high, last Friday, two Fridays ago, 1025. Then this was all the C wave, and then it'll start to work its way up. So let's go to the Nasdaq. I'll show you what I'm seeing. So this was all 5 waves down to here. So this is all correction now, and it's just a matter of how big of a correction. But I am very positive, well, 99% sure that they're going to come and break 20,008 one more time. Because when I zoom out, this is a tricky pattern. I still think this is 3 waves up, because you had this expanding flat here. Up. This little thing is just this little part right here. Is that down to there? Is that the 4, like a 1, 2, and then a 3, 4, and then 5? So is this an impulse, or is it? I've been counting it as 3 waves. So, and then I was thinking then they were going to go up as a diagonal, but as I said last week, you know, the target for the 3rd wave is above 21,214, and they didn't get there. So it could be it's just a weak 3rd wave, and so this is 1, I think. It's just a matter of, is it 3 waves or 5? I've been thinking it's 3, then you had ABC down, and then this turns out to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then ending diagonal. So a big 3 wave move. And like I said, if it would have went higher, closer to that 21,214, then I'd feel better that that's the 3rd wave. And then it looks like right now that you got 5 down. That could be all the correction up to 2288. One more break of 20,008, and this would be the perfect zone, this purple zone, for the 4th wave if they're going up in a diagonal. So 1, 2, 3, this will be 4, and then reverse back up for 5 waves. And so I think it would probably only get in this upper half. So got to watch and see. I mean, if they do make it up like the S&P, zoom in a little. If they were to push up into this red zone, 20,000, basically in the 400s, up to maybe 500, and then they start coming down, then that's almost looking like they're making a really big impulse. So a lot of patterns can still be in play. I'm remaining bullish still. This choppiness up here, I mean, I think it's just reflective of where everybody's at right now with election coming up and the Fed interest rate decision coming up, earnings and whatnot. I think everything just made this really choppy. So I'm still leaving it open that this is 1, 2, this is just a week 3, but they'll come down in 3 for 4 and then reverse for 5. Obviously, if this sell-off gets strong, especially if they come and break below 18.5, then this is not the diagonal that I'm looking for. Actually, if they get below 19,400, then that's not going to be the diagonal. So, yeah, I'm looking to see if this purple zone holds and then reverses back up. So that's what I'm looking for on both S&P and Nasdaq, is one more low, most likely, on both, and then there should be some buying. So see what happens. All right, let's look at some stocks. Let's look at AMD, because AMD, I think, looks really, really good. Now, it could be wrong, but this is looking very much like a diagonal, because this was a 3-wave move up, and then we had a 3-wave move down, and then this was a choppy 3-wave move up, and right now we've got a 3-wave move down, big sell-off on their earnings, but it's right in, I mean, it's hit both a target zone and this perfect zone for the 4, and it's right at the bottom of the zone. So if it's a diagonal, this has to hold. I mean, it really can't be going much below this 140, basically 140 range. Obviously, the absolute is 132. That invalidates the diagonal. But any more pushing down, and that's not going to look like a diagonal. This is the absolute perfect spot if it's going to be a diagonal. So that's the bullish scenario, is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they'll go up in 3 waves for 5, give you a leading diagonal, and then they will correct and then go up. That's the best case scenario. The other pattern, the bearish pattern, is because this was a WXY down, and then you had another WXY, and then you had this expanding flat for a 3-wave move. All in all, this is WXY, and you do have just a 3-wave move up. And so they could be coming all the way down to 121.82 again. That's the bearish now, that you have a WXYX, and then they'll be coming down for the Z wave. So that pattern does exist. So one of these two levels has to break this 174. So they would have to go up and break that, and give you a leading diagonal, and then that's not going to be a WXYXZ. Or they'll be reversing and be coming all the way down. Well, once they break 132, then it's not the pattern that I'm looking for. And then I think they will be coming all the way down. And then this will just be a really big correction, but then this will be a really great location to be buying somewhere under 121, and then to take it all the way up to 227. So those are the key levels, 132 and 174. But basically, if they get under like 140, then I'd want to be out. So could have a really tight stop loss and be playing for that push with, you know, I don't know, 140 or 138 or something as your stop loss. It's a really, really good risk to reward there. So that's AMD. And what was the other one? Nvidia. Nvidia too. It's at a really good spot. It came almost down. Now this one actually, there were a couple of ways that I could count these little microwaves. I mean, so far it's just a 1, 2, 3, and it almost touched this 131.74 level. So Nvidia could be going back up because I think, as I alluded to last week, I think the bigger pattern here is this is going to be a running flat because we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I think this is going to correct down into here, go back up, but then give a strong sell-off and give us this look. To there, and then when it comes down into this range somewhere, and then you're going to go back up. So I think, this is just looking very choppy up here. So, yeah, I think there's one more high, though, to be made. So 144, I think, will probably get broken one more time, and then you're going to get a sharp sell-off, and then it's going to rebound. So that's the pattern that I'm looking for. But first I want to see, get that back. Want to see this purple zone, 123 to 131. I want to see that hold, and then go break 144 one more time. And then I'll feel more confident that this is going to be a running flat. Because for sure, NVIDIA is not done. Because, I mean, you had a 5-way move up, correction, and then up, but you barely broke it, and you only broke it in 3 waves. And so you have a 3-wave correction, and then you got only 3 waves off. So that's why it's not done, and I think the most obvious pattern to me is a running flat. So this is all the correction going up, and then, like I said, we need a C wave after that, and then back up. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. OKLO. This company, the stock rather, it's actually in a really good spot for a correction to go up, but I think this is just the beginning of the correction. This 3-wave move should be getting another 3-wave move up into 22, 23, 91. And then when this comes down, I think it's going to come down into this like 19 range. I think that's a really, really good place then to start looking for a buy to go take it up. So I think you could play really short-term trades with OKLO, because I think this correction is still, from where it is right now, will probably still give you, I'd say 8 to 10% for a correction. I don't think it's possible that this is all the correction down to 2130, and now it's going to go all the way up. But I think getting in here for 8 to 10%, and you just have to watch it when it gets up to that basically 24 level. I think that could be getting rejected then. But I think if it comes down into this 19 range, or maybe if you're lucky, even down into the 16s, that's a great place to be looking for the buy. Okay, and for my friend Anto, I haven't looked at this one on this channel yet. So this is looking really interesting. Did have this really sharp move down, but I think this was all an expanding flat up here. I think this was A, B, and then C. And so it should be going up. Now it's gone up in 3 waves. But now we've got this 3-wave move down, and it's right at the bottom of this perfect area where if they're going to be going up, I think they'll go up in a diagonal, and that was 1. And they came down, perfect spot for a 2. And then obviously it'll go up in 3 waves for the 3rd wave, and then 4 and 5. So I think buying here gives you a really good risk to reward. You do just have to pick a level, because obviously if this is not the expanding flat that I think, and instead this is the start of downside, and then this was the ABC correction, so that would be like 1, and then this is 2, then obviously this is coming way down under 145. I mean, it'll probably be into the 30s maybe. So, because then this will be 1 and 2, and then this is probably 1 and 2, 3, and you'll be getting 4 and a 5, and then another 4 and a 5. So there'll be a lot more down. But yeah, so I would just pick a level somewhere in this 160s as your stop loss, because this should be getting some buying if it's going to go up for the 3rd wave. Shouldn't be going much lower than where it is right now. So I would have a really tight stop, but you have huge upside from where it is right now. I mean, you're talking probably over 36% upside if the pattern that I think is playing out does. So I think Onto looks really good at where it is right now, but you just have to be mindful that I could have this wrong, and this is just like the A and the B, and you're going to be getting a C wave and going back into the 140s. So looks really interesting. All right, Bitcoin. Okay. I think I've been looking at this. I was looking for this to be a diagonal. So WXY up. That was 2. Come on. I can't grab it. There. And then this just got really too choppy. I don't think this is 3, even though it hit the target for the 3rd wave. I think instead this is going to be A and a B, and then this from down here from September, this is now making a diagonal, and this is 1, this is 2, the completed 3, and that is that just crept in above this target of 72,883, so it just broke that, almost broke the high, didn't, and now it's coming down, and I think if this area holds, so if they come down a little bit farther, down into 68,000, could even come down to, low 66 or maybe even 64, who knows. And then this area can hold, and then they can go back up, then that'll be your 5-wave C wave. And so they'll break 73.8, but at any moment then this 5-wave move will be ending. And then we'll have to watch to see what happens to price to see what this pattern is. It'll be a diagonal. It'll just be a question, is it an ending diagonal or a leading diagonal? So that's what I'm looking for. A little bit more down. I think get into this purple zone and then go and take the high. And then we'll have a perfect diagonal. So let's see if this area can hold and get a bounce. Now, if it follows what I think the stock market is going to do, I think it'll sell off just like the S&P and Nasdaq, create one more low, and then reverse up. So let's see if it follows suit with those. All right, that's what I see on those. Hope it helps. Thanks for your likes and support. Good luck to you all. volatile week ahead, so be ready. And I will see you in the next video.